Thanks very much, Matt. Now for the main event. It's the second half of Super Sunday here on TV3, the fourth and last All-Ireland quarter-final, and the game that everybody has been waiting for. It's a first meeting of Donegal and Kerry in the championship, and a clash of cultures, styles and footballing traditions as two of the title contenders come face to face. Let's take a look at the teams, and Jim McGuinness, the Donegal manager, has made two late changes to the side that got the job done against Down in the Ulster final. Number 17, Martin McElhenney, replaces David Walsh, and 25, Eamon McGee, is in for Declan Walsh. Carl Lacey has recovered from a knock he took to his back 2 weeks ago and will wear 6. And keep an eye out for number 12, Mark McHugh. He could pop up just about anywhere. Corner forward, Colin McFadden is Donegal's leading scorer by some distance, and the Ulster champions are captained by number 14, Michael Murphy. Kerry manager Jack O'Connor sends the same starting 15 into battle for the third week in a row as he tries to build on recent wins over Tyrone and Clare. The defence has a settled and experienced look to it, with record breaker Thomas O'Shea all set for his 83rd championship appearance at right half back. But it's that exciting full forward line that's been starting to motor, and James O'Donoghue, Colm Cooper and Kieran Donaghy have racked up 3 goals and 18 points between them in the last 2 games. By the way, 12 of this team started last year's All-Ireland final. Well, it's a dark, overcast afternoon here in Dublin, and before the fourth and final quarter-final, Croke Park is going to take a moment to pause and remember the late, great Con Houlihan. So many people around the country will be thinking about the proud Kerry man and outstanding writer this weekend. Con, who passed away just a couple of days ago. He was the doyen of Irish sports journalists for so many years, and Liam Hayes, as a former colleague, I know he's a man you held in great esteem.
Well, I think, you know, I had the honour, Mike, of working with Con for 6 or 7 years, and he was just an amazing man. Apart from being one of the, you know, greatest wordsmiths in Irish journalism, he was just a very, very quiet man. He was a very graceful man in his own sweet Kerry way, and he was a joy to read, and he was a great man to work beside.
Of course, a man also who watched practically all of the big matches here at Croke Park. Down behind the goal, away to our right, the old Canal End goal, and a man who will be missed by all who knew and read him. That minute silence will be coming up very shortly. Then the decks will be cleared and the stage set for a game that has been building all week long. Both teams, interestingly, will wear alternative strips today to avoid a colour clash. Kerry, as you can see, wearing their alternative blue strip, the royal blue of Munster, and Donegal will wear white today with green and gold panels, giving both teams a very different look. As we now pause for that minute silence in memory of Con Houlihan.
Con Houlihan wrote extensively on getting games over a long and highly respected career in print journalism, writing in a full-time capacity for the Irish Press from 1974 until its closure, and for the Sunday World from 1995 until this week. GA President Mr. Liam O'Neill said Con was revered by young and old for the consistent quality of his writing, and the Irish sporting landscape will be a lesser place in his absence without his incredible turn of phrase and wit. Today we pass our sympathies to his family and wide circle of friends on behalf of the wider GA community.
And the crowd breaking into a spontaneous round of applause for the late Con Houlihan as we pause for our own Naveal. thankfully the sun has broken through the clouds right on cue as well. Kerry won the toss. Colm Cooper has elected to play into the Davin stand goal in the first half. There's our referee, Marty Duffy from Sligo, taking charge of his 5th game of the championship. His last appointment, the Leinster final here a couple of weeks ago. Well, there are 5 teams left standing in the race for Sam Maguire right now. And today's the day we find out if Kerry can reach their 11th All-Ireland semi-final in 12 years, or will Donegal continue their meteoric rise and qualify for the last 4 for the 2nd season in a row. Liam Hayes, those questions and many more should be answered in about an hour and a half time.
Yeah, definitely. This is the big one of the whole weekend. We've had runaway victories by Mayo and Cork, and we had, you know, Dublin squeezing through by the skin of their teeth and looking in greater disarray than any All-Ireland champions have possibly ever looked in the last 20 years. But this is the big one. Kerry's natural brilliance against one of the most brilliantly built teams of modern times.
25, yeah. So Marty Duffy just making sure everything's in order. And it will be Kerry to play from left to right in this first half. And Brian Sheehan setting them on the attack right from the throw-in. The first quarter in particular in this match will be intriguing. Just how will Donegal set up and how will Kerry try and impose their game on the Ulster champions? Hang on tight, this should be fascinating. Michael Murphy, first chance to swing that giant right foot of his, going for score, but it wouldn't have counted. Marty Duffy's whistle for a challenge that came in after the ball was delivered. Well, in case you joined us late, Jim McGuinness springing a couple of late changes, withdrawing both Declan and David Walsh from the Donegal starting 15 and pitching in Eamon McGee and Martin McElhenney. Here's Leo McClune, scored a goal in the Ulster final. Running into a wall of Kerry men. Tomas O'Shea among them, now Kerry's most capped footballer of all time. Here's Brian Sheehan again. Really has dovetailed superbly with Anthony Maher in the Kerry midfield this summer. Mark O'Shea sprinting forward from corner back. Misplaced pass is gathered by Carl Lacey, standing sentry at number 6. McClune just struggling to get that ball away. Quick hands from McHugh, and Murphy, who's playing a lot deeper than that number 14 would suggest. McFadden shoots from out the country, and that's the lead for Donegal. 2 minutes gone. He is Donegal's leading scorer in the championship, Colm McFadden, and that's why.
Superb score on the left foot. That left foot is probably the trustiest left foot of any footballer on the Gaelic football field this summer. He has been leading the way, as you say, Mike, in every shape and form for Donegal. Probably getting too many scores. Donegal relied too heavily on Colm McFadden, if anything, but that's a great way for Donegal to open their account.
And Brendan Keely's kick-out doesn't find its intended target. It's hacked away out over the line on that far side, and possession back to Donegal. In these early stages, Neil McGee has followed Colm Cooper by the looks of things. And it's Eamon McGee who has gone back to shadow Kieran Donaghy. That play broken up by Owen Brosnan. And this is Killian Young. Man roaring for it inside was James O'Donoghue. And Kerry get the free. Just as we anticipated, it's a helter-skelter start. Kerry will try and set the early pace. That will, of course, the ball to come out and play, but these first few minutes, it's the Ulster champions who have settled into their stride as McBrearty tries to set Carl Lacey away down that far side. Just a little bit too much on the pass. And there, I suppose, a first glimpse of the Donegal half-back line sweeping forward.
Every single time, Mike, every single time Donegal break possession for Kerry, they come forward. There's 3 or 4 or 5 Donegal players sweeping down the field. And crucial for Kerry is that, you know, they get men in there and they tackle heavily and they stop Donegal having that natural momentum. Well,
Kerry, for the moment, are down to 14 men. Killian Young is down injured, but play continues. This is Anthony Maher from Dua. Thought about the long ball inside, nothing on, nothing obvious. Instead, it's Kieran Donaghy who drifts out to this right-hand side, spins away from Eamon McGee. Donegal Walsh, now Cooper, the Kerry captain, looping around, taking aim and firing it over the bar. It looked almost effortless from Colin Cooper. Sides are level.
Well, it was effortless. I mean, that's the genius of Colin Cooper at work. It's an important score for Kerry too, because Donegal, if the two teams seem to be well settled into their positions, they seem to be really taking a bit of a grip in the game, even at this very early stage. So that's an important score, just to settle Kerry and just to remind Donegal, you know, that they've got to keep a very, very firm handle on Colin Cooper.
And that score brings Colin Cooper's tally to 19 goals and 241 points in his championship career. He overtook Mikey Sheehy during the course of last weekend's qualifier win over Clare. He is the leading scorer of all time. And the sides could not be any closer as we tick into the 6th minute. Owen Brosnan bringing that ball into the tackle, and Donegal expert at ripping it back, and now they'll try and play on the break. McElhenny met by a good old-fashioned shoulder from Aidan O'Mahony. Possession snapped up by Lacey, and now Frank McGlynn. Just one man to aim at inside. That's Colin McFadden, who makes the break off the shoulder of Mark O'Shea. Has to hold support a little slow in arriving. Now McGlynn makes a burst. McFadden tried to play the pass behind him. Good covering from Donegal Walsh and from Kerry, and Donegal will have to try again.
Yeah, again the ball being fed into Colin McFadden. He's the go-to player all the time.
Danger here, and the ball is in the back of the net. McFadden's line ball, Murphy's presence on the edge of the square, and the man who celebrates his 23rd birthday today just might have got the final touch. It's a goal for Donegal. Aidan O'Mahony missed it, Keeley missed it, Michael Murphy missed it. And it's in the back of the net.
It is, and we were saying that Colin McFadden was the go-to man for Donegal, but that is an outrageous stroke of good luck for McFadden. Murphy obviously went in, distracted the Kerry goalkeeper, but just didn't get a handle on it. Ball just slipped under the keeper, but a really, really fortunate break for Donegal.
Well, fortune favours the brave, and Murphy threw himself at that ball to distract the keeper, distract the defence, and Donegal have the lead. That shot cannoning back off the post. They're pouring forward now, the Ulster champions. Murphy again. His confidence is high. The umpires like it. Wonderful score. The Donegal captain leading by example, and all of a sudden they've opened up a 4-point lead.
They have indeed, and Murphy really just saw the post, had him in his sights, and popped the ball over from 35 yards. That's just Michael Murphy at his best, and when he became Donegal captain, a lot of us thought there was just going to be too much pressure on the young man's shoulders, but Michael Murphy has always shaken off that pressure and looks in the right mood today as well.
And ominously for Kerry, he is stationed right in there on the edge of the square, where he does his best work. Now, what can Kerry come up with? James O'Donoghue, still very early days, but Donegal have set the pace and set the tone. Ryan Bradley, support comes over his shoulder from Martin McElhenny, made a big impact off the bench in the Ulster final. Now Anthony Thompson, Donegal committing bodies to attack. Tomas O'Shea, solid under that dropping ball and holding off Carl Lacey with that ferocious power of his. And here's Declan O'Sullivan, first touch for the Kerry centre forward, who is shut down very quickly by Leo McClune and gets us free.
So much dependent on Declan O'Sullivan from a Kerry's point of view, Mike. He's the most natural playmaker for the Kerry team, and when he's on song, so much happens around him naturally.
And here he is, Declan O'Sullivan, right on cue. Good response, fine score from O'Sullivan. Looks so cool, calm and composed there as he went by Lacey. The gap is back to 3.
Yeah, important score, and he showed Lacey a clean pair of heels there. One of the really defining, jewels in this game is anticipated is going to be between Declan O'Sullivan and Carl Lacey, and Declan O'Sullivan really got the better of his man there, broke inside and just clipped the ball over the bar.
So Paul Durkin from the Four Masters Club in Donegal Town looking for Bradley. Couldn't keep that ball in play. Incidentally, another late change to the Donegal squad just before the game. Neil Gallagher, who missed the Ulster final through injury, he's been added to the subs bench as Mark McHugh, the sweeper, nips in to win possession. Just happened to be in the right place at the right time. McBrearty asking an awful lot of Bradley, who manoeuvred his body to shield the ball and to clear the danger. Shane Enright just caught by Michael Murphy. Marty Duffy says play away. Tomás O'Shea under pressure, drilling it in towards Declan O'Sullivan. But the pressure that Donegal are applying on the ball carrier is quite intense.
Yeah, it's typical Donegal. They really have, evolved their play since last summer. They don't bring quite so many men back into defence, but their tackling and their work rate is so intense in their own half of the field that every Kerry man who gets the ball or gets possession at any stage, especially in this first half, is going to be at the pin of his collar to make a good pass. And Tomás O'Shea made a bad pass there, or to take a score. Durkin
drilling this one out towards McElhenney, just trying to mix up those kickouts. Possession won by Anthony Maher. This is James O'Donoghue being picked up by Paddy McGrath, who gets a good ball. McGrath, the only outfield player on the Donegal team not to score in the championship this year. Did his primary job very well there, though. Maher inside to Galvin. Players queuing up inside. One of them is Brosnan. And all the way across to Cooper. Shadowing him is Neil McGee. And McGee's presence enough to distract Cooper sufficiently. Declan O'Sullivan keeps that in play, but he had a hand in the back of a Donegal man, spotted by Marty Duffy, and the chance is gone.
Yeah, Declan O'Sullivan just pushed the man in the back, and a little bit silly because he had a chance of going for possession, winning that ball and reclaiming it after a poor enough effort from Colin Cooper. Unusually poor effort from Colin Cooper.
McBrearty out in the wide open spaces to Rory Kavanagh, driving through the centre. Again, McFadden is operating there in a one-man full forward line for a moment. Good defensive work by Kerry. Declan O'Sullivan, Brian Sheehan moving by him. Instead, he drops it in towards Donaghy. Great man to get out in front and win his own ball. Donaghy shoots from a tight angle. Didn't catch it cleanly. And that goes down as a Kerry wide.
Best to describe that really, Mike, is Kieran Donaghy swinging his left-footed it, not with a whole lot of confidence, and he had Brian Sheehan just outside him shouting for it with the arms in the air, and Sheehan wasn't too impressed that Donaghy didn't actually lay the ball down back out to him.
What have you made of the first 12 minutes overall?
The interesting thing is Donegal have that goal, and Donegal were expecting to build a lead, if they were going to have a lead, to build it point by point by point. But they have the goal, but the great thing is that Kerry have come right back. Typically Kerry, they don't stay shocked for very long. They've come right back into the game, and they've been really pressing Donegal ever since that goal.
Well, over the last 10 years, Kerry have played 27 championship games here and won 21 of them. They are the championship specialists at Croke Park, and they will not panic, and that's a good piece of work by Kieran Donaghy, which has presented Brian Sheehan with an excellent opportunity to eat into that Donegal lead.
And that's what we always want to see, and I think that's what, Kieran Donaghy won so many fans all over the country when he played on the edge in his debut season for Kerry, and he's so dangerous in there, especially when he gets his confidence back. And we saw down in Killarney against Tyrone, when they had that 10-point victory over Tyrone, that Kieran Donaghy actually announced that he was ready to come back and play his very best on this Kerry team. He's got off to a good start and won lots of ball.
So Brian Sheehan, Kerry's second leading scorer in this year's championship, kicks his 17th point of the summer, to go with his goal from the penalty spot against Tipperary. And that just keeps that scoreboard moving and keeps this contest bubbling nicely. Michael Murphy has positioned himself at wing forward for this kick out, but Paul Durkin instead drops it towards Rory Kavanagh. Break won by Donegal Walsh, and now O'Sullivan, who has a little bit of space to work with as Donegal set up their defensive screen. O'Sullivan, very wild kick from a man who's usually so accurate, just seemed to lose his concentration for a moment, and that will go down very much as a bad wide.
I think that was it. I think actually when you look at him, I think he just was caught in two minds at the very end, Mike. He was looking at taking his point, but he had two Kerry men, including Donaghy, in the square, but he was just actually too close to goal to actually pop the ball up in the air to Donaghy, and he just snapped at it. Bad wide up.
Well, we've seen a goal and 5 points scored here at Croke Park so far. The goal from a sideline ball, a bizarre goal, and some excellent scores taken at either end. Frank McGlynn, McFadden, a moving target on the edge of the square. Mark O'Shea sticking with him every step of the way, and Donegal get the line ball.
Back again, Paul.
Beautiful early evening sunshine now spraying all over Croke Park as McFadden just tries to compose himself here. He's 27 years of age. He has been in fine scoring form this summer, and this is a very similar position to where he fired in that ball that went all the way to the Kerry net. This time, though, doesn't make good contact. But if nothing else, it kills the ball. It prevents Kerry from building from the back, and it allows everybody to get themselves organised. Good possession, won by Donegal Walsh, and now Mark O'Shea. Chance for him to stretch his legs. Galvin spots the run of Killian Young. Mark O'Shea had stayed forward as well. Lovely footwork from O'Shea. Now, can he finish? Dangerous ball, and Paul Durkin, with Kieran Donaghy breathing down his neck, does really well. Marty Duffy has whistled up for the free. He felt there was too much heat on the goalkeeper, Paul Durkin. But they're a great example of the new rule. Donaghy, as soon as that ball was played, he got in there.
He was in there, and Paul Durkin just caught it beautifully. He wasn't too worried in his stride, if you like, but Donaghy could have got a hand on that ball. It was good work done by Mark O'Shea, and it's going to be dangerous coming forward all afternoon. You can sense that from Mark and Tomas O'Shea already.
Well, 10 minutes now since Donegal's last score, but they still lead by 2. Here's Leo McClune. Jersey tugged and stopped in his tracks as Kerry do what they have to do. Rory Kavanagh plays his club football with St. Eunan's in Letterkenny. Back to Mark McHugh. Donegal in no rush. Ryan Bradley. Murphy has moved in to join McFadden. Break picked up by Anthony Maher. And now Paul Galvin. Two very well organised, well drilled defensive structures as Tomas O'Shea tries to inject a little bit of pace into this. O'Sullivan chased down by Michael Murphy and Carl Lacey, and this time they give away the free, and Kerry reset. Maher delivers a good ball out in front of Donegal Walsh. James O'Donoghue, first chance for him to get a glimpse of goal. The Kerry crowd like it, and that's gone over the bar. Excellent score from O'Donoghue, who has been drifting around that forward line in search of space. that time he found it, and nothing wrong with the finish.
Certainly so, and James Donegal has been one of the successes for Jack O'Connor this season in terms of one of the new players, if you like, who's come through, scored 1 goal and 10 points before today, and showed great maturity and calmness in just slipping that ball over the bar.
So James O'Donoghue from the Legion Club just outside Killarney leaves us with a 1-point game, and Kerry have now hit the last 3 points of the match. Anthony Thompson finds himself in some room, delivering it in, letting the ball do the work. Good hands by McFadden, shoots on sight, over his shoulder, but it's curled across the face of the goal and wide. Well, there are so many fascinating matchups, Liam, but that one between Mark O'Shea and Colin McFadden, as good as any of them.
Absolutely, and McFadden is getting out in front of O'Shea. You know, O'Shea, interestingly, McFadden's a bigger man, and if he gets out in front, he's going to win most of the ball. He won that ball cleanly there and made a very good effort. It was very unlucky that it didn't actually slip inside the post.
Anthony Thompson driving onto that ball, and McFadden again. This is McClune. Donegal have numbers. Thompson loves to get forward. Shut down by Mark O'Shea, and Paul Galvin in to join the fun as well. And in the end, Thompson fouled the ball. Good pressure by Kerry. They were getting half forwards back to support defenders, shutting down the space. And Jack O'Connor will be very pleased with that. So just over 20 minutes gone in this All-Ireland quarter-final. Already Mayo, Dublin and Cork through to the All-Ireland semi-finals. The only question remaining, who will join them? Carl Lacey, unable to break the tackle of Brosnan. Now Mark McHugh. This is Ryan Bradley from Buncrana. Thought about the pass, instead took it on himself. But Kerry have too many men back there, and they get it away to Declan O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan fouled by Leo McClune, and the free quickly taken. Kerry not hanging around. O'Donoghue misread the intentions of Kieran Donaghy. He'd broken infield. Ball knocked down on top of Eamon McGee. Well, this is Kerry's fourth game in 4 weeks. Donegal coming in fresh after their break following the Ulster final. Lacey lofting it in towards Murphy. Aidan O'Mahony with him, and O'Mahony does well, using all his experience to knock that away from the danger zone. Bodies piling in from left, right and centre. Marty Duffy felt the Kerry man was more sinned against than sinning, and they get the free. Well, it is end to end. Everybody chasing after the ball, and it is, dare we say it, Liam, a little bit more open than we might have expected at this stage in the game.
I think so, a little bit. I mean, it's still very intense out there. Kerry are getting men back in numbers, you know, really closing down. Colin McFadden, the 4 men around there. He's still getting a little bit of treatment as we speak, but just got a slight accidental nip on the back of the head, I think, from O'Shea there. It wasn't malicious or dangerous or anything like that.
Brian Sheehan trying to kick over that masked Donegal defence, but just outside his range. And Paul Durkin, solid as a rock, did what he had to do. Now Leo McClune, both Colin McFadden and Owen Brosnan back on their feet again. Both sides restored to the full complement. McBrearty clipping it in towards Murphy, but well read by Mark O'Shea. Pound for pound, one of the best in the business, but Killian Young has made a hash of the return pass, and Donegal get forward. Advantage played. Lacey to McFadden. McFadden likes that angle and fires it over the bar. Kerry punished ruthlessly by Colin McFadden. Just being a little bit lackadaisical in their own defence. Ball make them pay.
Unfortunate too, because, you know, Donegal have taken a step back, if you like, for the last 10 minutes. Been looking at Kerry coming at them, if anything, and that turnover, you know, really allowed Donegal to take a simple enough point, get back into this game. But Donegal need to really finish the next 10 minutes of this half with great more intensity, because they have stepped back and they are watching Kerry play.
And that's a goal, and 2 points now for McFadden as Maher drills this in towards Donaghy, who's straining every muscle to try and keep it in play. Mark McHugh arrives on the scene. Donaghy, he's a big man, holds it up, waits for the arrival of Cooper. Yet to really get into this game. Donaghy again. Cooper wants the return pass. Donaghy bottled up, and that is textbook Donegal. Suffocating the man on the ball, swallowing him up and breaking at pace. But this time Paddy McGrath was cut down in his prime just as he was about to break clear. But Donegal's defensive system there clicking into gear nicely.
Superb defending, all right, from Donegal. But if you like, Kerry, you know, really have settled into the game of their own half of the field. Quite a dominant force, but the last ball, the final ball, is just not finding the man. A little bit off in terms of how they're actually passing, moving the ball around deep in the Donegal half.
Well, this is a worry for Kerry. Owen Brosnan, who picked up that knock a few minutes ago, has been replaced by Brian Maguire from the Listowel Emmets club. Very promising young player. But Kerry will miss Brosnan's experience and presence at the heart of their defence.
Huge blow to Kerry. I mean, you know, they've really relied heavily on Brosnan coming back into the team after his retirement 2 years ago, and they really have rebuilt the centre of their defence with Aidan O'Mahony getting a second chance of his Kerry career, Brosnan coming back, and the two of them have been so reliable for Kerry this season.
A booking there for Leo McClune, the first of the match, as Donegal go long. Bradley in towards Murphy. O'Mahony got a hand to it just to knock it away, and does well to pick up the crumbs. And O'Mahony driving out with that ball, wins his free and shows a clenched fist to the Kerry crowd over there in the Cusack stand. Each and every ball being contested with great passion, and O'Mahony just showing what that meant to him. Well, that's a heavy collision in the middle of the field between two Donegal men. One of them is certainly Martin McElhenney. The other is, in fact, it's Anthony Thompson, the number 7, who is in need of attention.
Anthony Thompson and Patrick McBrearty, Mike, and again it was an unfortunate clash of heads. McBrearty really hasn't got into the game at all. He was coming out the middle of the field, trying to win some breaking ball, and, you know, really just ended up clashing with his half-back, who was thundering into the tackle.
Patrick McBrearty certainly looking the worse for wear. He took a very heavy blow to the head. Both Anthony Thompson and McBrearty had eyes only for the ball. And McBrearty will require some medical attention before he can continue.
But a clash in his forehead, Mike, and, you know, normally it's a sort of like a boxer's cut, if you like. You know, it's not like getting a bang on the side of the head or the top of the head where a player can suffer a concussion. I think both lads should be okay after a couple of minutes.
Man who's coming in is David Walsh. Was named in the Donegal team to start the match. Was pulled at the last moment by Jim McGuinness. Anthony Thompson looks like he's fit to continue for the moment. But a big 8 or 9 minutes now, Liam, coming to half-time.
And important for Donegal to have that 8 or 9 minutes, Mike, because, you know, they're coming in here. There's a lot of talk about Donegal being good enough to win this game, but the problem is when the players are out there and you're right up close with Kerry looking as good as they look, do you really believe you can win the game? And if Donegal don't get scores on a regular basis, you don't know what's going to go on in their heads.
Well, they certainly have set the Northern standard in the last 2 years, Donegal, winning back-to-back Ulster championships. But today they are taking on the market leaders. Paul Galvin back to Shane Enright, joining the attack and linking up with Donegal Walsh. Moves the ball on quickly to Galvin again. Kerry just having a little nibble around the edges as O'Donoghue hits the 45-metre line. Tomas O'Shea, quick look up, fancies his chances, but rushed the shot, and in hindsight might have been better advised to keep that ball alive. But that will go down as a missed opportunity for Kerry. They still trail by 2.
Probably too much time on the ball, you know, when Tomas O'Shea has come surging forward with that great big stride of his and looks up. Nearly every occasion he puts the ball over the bar, but that time he was almost standstill. There was almost too much room and he'd almost too much time on the ball.
Second yellow of the match, both to Donegal. Martin McElhenney is now in Marty Duffy's notebook as well. As we tick into the final 6 minutes of normal time at the end of this first half on what has been a marathon weekend of championship action here at Croke Park, as Donegal Walsh is in the wars this time. Caught a little high by Carl Lacey, got his free. Sheehan trying to hurdle the challenge of David Walsh. And Marty Duffy felt that Walsh was playing the man and not the ball. This will mean another stoppage. And when Brian Sheehan gets back to his feet, you would have to think, present him with a shot at goal.
You would think so. It was mainly scrappy and a little bit ugly from Walsh. He was pawing at his man, but certainly Jack O'Connor will have his heart in his mouth looking at Brian Sheehan, especially if his calf is getting some treatment there. I mean, so much depends on Sheehan, and you know, when he was missing earlier this summer, the wheels, at least one, maybe two wheels, you know, came off the Kerry wagon very, very fast. So O'Connor needs Sheehan on both feet, and whether he's in the full of the health actually take this free is another question. It might be smart to have somebody else take it and give Sheehan a rest, but he looks like he's going to actually line up the ball and have a shot himself. He's a long way out too, Mike.
About 55 metres as the crow flies, Brian Sheehan from the goal. That might explain why he's decided against trying to put that ball dead. Instead, Kerry recycle it, and Shane Enright, who has stayed forward, gives it to Donegal Walsh. All the way across to Anthony Maher. Donegal have 14 men between the ball and their own goal. Tomas O'Shea, diagonal ball, lofted in towards Declan O'Sullivan, but he was surrounded by 5 Donegal men. One of them, this man, Mark McHugh. They really have got it off to a fine art. Martin McElhenney pushed in the back there, fairly obviously in front of Marty Duffy by James O'Donoghue. Well, it's 13 minutes now since Kerry last scored. And that is a yellow for James O'Donoghue.
Foolish yellow card to concede as well, because there were so many Kerry men in the middle of the field that there was no great danger of Donegal getting the ball away very, very quickly there. But that looks like a problem. Looks like Brian Sheehan is down again. And that is a big problem for Kerry.
Well, quite a lot of activity there on the Kerry bench, and Peter Crowley has just come into the match in place of Killian Young, and also Darren O'Sullivan has also been introduced as Patrick McBrearty comes back on as well. But that's a very interesting double substitution, Liam, by Jack O'Connor.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Jack O'Connor knows this year, if ever, he's going to have to make brave calls. You know, he's got a strong squad. You know, Darren O'Sullivan is one of the key players on the team, and you can hold him for the last 20 minutes or you can put him in for 40 minutes. And I think Jack has taken the wise decision, you know, believing that the player should enter the game now.
So with Kerry 2 points behind, Peter Crowley and Darren O'Sullivan are sprung from the bench. And O'Sullivan, the former All-Ireland winning captain, is involved right from the get-go in to help O'Donoghue, who's outnumbered fairly significantly. And Frank McGlynn grabs that ball, holds on for dear life, and the big Donegal crowd, up on 20,000 supporters, have travelled to Dublin, make themselves heard all around the stadium. Well, we've played 33 minutes in the first half, and the Ulster champions, by hook or by crook, have manoeuvred themselves into a 2-point lead. And at this stage, they seem intent on hanging on to it.
Well, the way Donegal played the game, 2 points is a big lead. We saw that last year, so, you know, they're not going to throw that 2 points away very likely. But they do have to get more scores, and, you know, they're really funneling men back. There's nobody in the Kerry half of the field. And here we have Tomas O'Shea looking at his best going forward.
Now Donegal Walsh taking that pass in his stride, but he was hit with a shoulder, and that took the momentum out of it. Back to O'Sullivan, where there was a blizzard, a white wave of Donegal jerseys rushing out on O'Sullivan as he tried to compose himself there. Couldn't get hold of the shot, and he may be only in the game a matter of minutes, but already he'll have got the full impact of this Donegal defence.
He knows what's happening out in the field, all right. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it was a pot shot at best, and pot shots, you know, are something that no manager wants to see his side delving into at this stage in the game. But, you know, Kerry, you know, they are looking to press, they are looking to try to close that gap coming up to half-time.
Brian Sheehan back to full health again, trying to drop it in front of Cooper, but they are denying Colin Cooper time and space as away goes Carl Lacey. We're heading towards stoppage time at the end of this first half. Michael Murphy into McBrearty, trying to lose Sheehan. This is McElhenney. He was attempting to hold off Anthony Maher, but he held on too long. We'll have at least 3 minutes of additional time in this first half as Cooper drifts outfield in search of time, space and possession. Gets away from the first tackle, driving towards goal. Slips it into Donaghy, wants the return. Cooper again. That is vintage Colin Cooper. You just cannot take your eye off him for a moment. Popped up out on the left wing, the quick 1-2. And it's back to a 1-point game.
And just superb Colin. The man, you know, when he's on his game like that, he is the fully fledged genius that we call him. He could see straight away it was a quick turnover ball for Kerry. He could have released an early ball, but Rachinho chose to actually bring the ball himself, and a great 1-2 with Kieran Donaghy. That's his second point from play.
Well, this match billed during the week as the irresistible force against the immovable object, and it is shaping up quite nicely. Now on the cusp of half-time, Donegal have a free. Michael Murphy, I think for a moment, was contemplating a quick one, but Colin McFadden calls the shots in this kind of range, and he wants to have a cut at it. They haven't scored for nearly 15 minutes. There isn't even a hint of a breeze here at Croke Park. He seems to have struck it well. He couldn't have struck it much better. Right over the black spot. It never wavered. They lead by 2 again.
And a brilliant reply to Cooper's score less than a minute ago. Colin McFadden really has his eye in, but you know, when you look at how Donegal play and how much ball goes to McFadden and how dependent they are on him, they really, for Donegal to really be certain of winning this game, they've got to get some more ball to Michael Murphy and Patrick McBrearty. Neither man has been the big scorer in this championship, but they will need to score in Croke Park in the next few weeks if Donegal are going to win this All-Ireland.
Rory Kavanagh driving towards goal, tracked by Brian Maguire and fouled by the Kerry substitute. Colin McFadden, incidentally, has hit a goal and 3 points out of that Donegal tally.
And that's the point I'm making, Mike. You know, if Donegal really want not only to win today, if they want to develop further as a team, you know, beat Cork in the semi-final, possibly take on Dublin in the final, they're going to have to get more reward from the full forward line. They've got possibly the best full forward line in the country in Patrick McBrearty and Michael Murphy, but they don't get full value from those players.
So not for the first time today, all eyes fall onto Michael Murphy. Made his debut back in 2007. So often the man for the big occasion, but this time just misjudged that free. Didn't catch it on the money. And that is most certainly a missed opportunity. Marty Duffy calls for the ball. It's half-time in this All-Ireland quarter-final. Jack O'Connor and his Donegal counterpart Jim McGuinness will know it's still there for the taking. Donegal lead Kerry 1-4 to 5 points.
The Aircom Championship Challenge. Why not challenge yourself at experiencemore.ie?
Standing next to me, left or right side, take your pick. But girl, you got to make it quick, baby, baby, baby. I know I drive you crazy. Yeah.
Coors Light, Rocky Mountain Cold Refreshment.
Aquaspeed Pacific, the new Swiss-made waterproof watch from Rotary. Simply exceptional.
Here we go! Let's do it! Tighten up. I'm back.
Sometimes it's fun to run with the pack.
Shoot something!
You're not doing what I think you're doing.
Yeah, I am.
The Expendables 2 in cinemas August 16th.
With a powerful charge of vitamins and minerals, Baraka helps you perform at your best every day. Baraka,
the high-performance vitamin. It's back. The steak and wine sale is now back by popular demand.
Anybody like to try some lovely steak here today?
With more Super Quinn steak on sale than ever before.
Like to try some Super Quinn steak?
Love to, yeah. Oh, sweet, let's go, man.
Guaranteed Irish, guaranteed tender. Made for the barbecue, that steak's good. Guaranteed tender.
Fabulous. Enjoy our famous fresh Irish steaks at 33% off all this week. Like strip loin steak, 33% off. And cowboy steak, 33% off. And specially selected steak wines are up to half price. The Super Quinn Steak and Wine Sale is now on.
Heartburn and indigestion? Rennie turns excess acid into water and other natural substances. Simply relieved with Rennie.
The same hotel, the same pool, but two prices. Why pay more? Do the Trivago check. On Trivago, you always find the perfect deal for 500,000 hotels on over 100 different websites. Just select your ideal hotel, and Trivago shows you where to book at the best price. Hotel? Trivago.
Do deliver a great deal. The double deal from Domino's. Get 2 medium pizzas for only $19.99. Yes, that's 2 for only $19.99. Domino's.
What's your story? Computers?
Nah. I won the lotto.
Prizes.
Yes, I is.
Buddy, do you have a dream?
Nothing that money can buy, Roundy. Nothing that money can buy.
Thanks for helping us make magic happen.
Always keep your distance from the car in front. Look at how much more you can see now. On dry roads, pick a point and make sure you have time to say only if breaks the 2-second rule before you pass the same point. On wet roads, say it twice. Never tailgate by driving too close. And always expect the unexpected. From the Road Safety Authority.
A financial plan for every fan. Ulster Bank, proud sponsors of the GAA Football Championship.
So Donegal lead Kerry by 2 points after the sideline ball from Colin McFadden went directly into the net, allowing Donegal in front, a lead they've never surrendered despite the points by Kerry, to bring themselves back to within 2 points at half-time in what has been an enthralling battle up until now. Here indeed score 1 goal and 4 for Donegal as against the 5 points for Kerry. And Colin McFadden is on fire with a goal and 4 of that, goal and 3 of that Donegal total so far. Let's have a look at the goal, Sen and Connell, because at first we thought square ball. Was there a push on the goalkeeper? What happened on this goal?
Well, it was directly in. We know the new rule states that you have to be outside when it's a set play, and Murphy was directly outside. But analysing the actual goal itself, I think it was the keeper's ball. Brendan Keeley has to call that ball and come out and claim it. Now Murphy comes in, he distracts the keeper and he clatters into him as well. Bounces, hits the crossbar, and it's into the back of the net. So it's a perfectly legitimate goal.
David, it seems he was pushed by the defender, Murphy, coming in rather than him fouling anyone.
You could have a case of that he was pushing the back. But what you have now, Matt, the new rule is you have a lot more traffic inside the small square. We've seen Owen Doyle last night, Owen Doyle today, O'Loughlin last night with own goals, because there's a lot more bodies in around the square. And I think it's a good thing for
And Kieran Donaghy has been on the line a couple of times from Kerry, trying to put pressure as well on the Donegal keeper.
Got a flick on it, but that goal there, it was Brendan Keeley's ball to call. He was in charge. He was facing the ball. Aidan O'Mahony was at his back to the ball, so that was.
But wasn't it perfect for Donegal, because it allowed them to sort of dictate the tempo of the game?
It did, but aside from that goal, Matt, there was a point shortly afterwards by Colin McFadden where Kerry were coming out with the ball, and I think it was Killian Young gave a bad pass.
That's right. And Murphy
Kerry were on the attack, and Donegal, a lot of guys pushed up. So really, Kerry conceded 1-1 there, 4 points.
But we're going to see some examples, I think, now as well, of how Kerry have taken the wrong options, what you might not expect, David, from a very experienced team.
I was very surprised. They made some, as Darren said, some silly mistakes, but the delivery of the ball in, they're looking for pinpoint passes, and they made some mistakes that you wouldn't associate with an experienced Kerry team. I think they didn't give ball first time into Donegal. Around the centre of the field is where there was a big fulcrum with the passes for Kerry. They needed pinpoint passes, and there was a turnover ball then.
The ball in early on was working, because Donegal started quite offensively. It's only in the second half of that first half, we'll say, that Donegal have dropped 13-40 players behind the ball, and it's been a different game in the last 10 or 15 minutes, absolutely.
But does that mean Donegal are setting the tempo tactically for this game, that they're setting the way it's played?
Well, I'd say they had a kind of a decision made, we'll say, where during the course of the game, if they got ahead, they'd hold it. But in the first half there, we got 2 snippets. Colin Cooper got a ball and Declan Sullivan, and they popped from 30-40 yards. Kerry need to get more of that going. If they can get those guys on the ball, they'll put up a score.
How worried are you now that Kerry won't be able to stay with the fitness of these Donegal players all the way to the end?
I think Donegal are going to try and grind it down. Now, this is a situation that Kerry didn't want before the game, where you're going into it, we'll say, a couple of points down. Kerry really have to go for it now, but they don't have to force it too much. Pick off points from a distance.
They only have 1 point, David. Between the 19th and the 36th minute, Kerry only have 1 point. And that's a statistic that we don't want in the second half.
On the back of that, Donegal only scored once in 15 minutes. When they shut up shop, they stopped kicking the long ball into McFadden and everything else.
We will have more analysis when we come back after this.
SuperValu, proud sponsors, real supporters of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
A war is coming, and it's coming first to Extravision. Rent Battleship, the most exciting action movie of the year.
Weapons tight, on everything loaded.
Liam Neeson and Rihanna in the ultimate battle to save the world that will have you on the edge of your seat.
Hit it!
Don't wait weeks to see it somewhere else. Rent it now at Extravision. And why not complete your movie night in with our explosive gold medal takeaway offer, all for just €15. Battleship at Extravision. Always bringing you the top new movies first.
Some of the world's finest courses are here, waiting for you. Are you up to the challenge? Short breaks start from just £79 per room.
Those are my demands. And if those demands aren't met, I eat one of the hostages.
Did he say eat?
Yeah, you heard me. Eat.
I think he's gonna eat Kerry.
And it's gonna be delicious.
Take a family home. What if you could make it just a bit better? What if you could watch original drama and award-winning US shows and other great TV you can't get anywhere else? Imagine controlling how you watch them so you can see what you want, when you want. What if you could watch that great TV wherever you like? On your laptop, or even on your iPhone. And if having all this meant you were ready for the digital switchover, giving you one less thing to think about, and if all that cost €25 a month, wouldn't that be brilliant? So, treat your home to TV you can't get anywhere else, that you can control with Sky Plus and watch wherever you like with Sky Go. Plus, be ready for the digital switchover, all for €25 a month. Sky. Believe in better.
Kiss me once, kiss me twice, kiss me once again. It's been a long time. What do you think?
You've been busy.
Haven't felt like this, my dear, since can't remember when. It's been a long
Change starts with Dulux. Make a change this August with 20% off Dulux Interior Ready-Mixed Colour Emulsions.
I wish I could make these two go that fast, or even as fast as I was switching me car insurance to Aviva. When a little doggy told me you can get 6 weeks cover free and a 10% discount for buying online. Brilliant! In all fairness, like, I saved enough, right, to help build these beauties their own in-house training facility. Yeah? And to pick up this. It's more music. If that doesn't get them moving, nothing will.
Get 6 weeks free car insurance and a 10% discount for buying online. Get the Aviva deal.
The mob is always saying, listen up, we exist.
It's time to get motivated.
Enough with performance art. It's time for protest art.
Step Up 4 Miami Heat in cinemas August 10th.
Play the Aircom Championship Challenge at experiencemore.ie. The Aircom Championship Challenge. Why not challenge yourself at experiencemore.ie?
Ulster Bank, an official sponsor of the GAA Football Championship, are giving you the chance to win a pair of tickets to the All-Ireland Football Final, as well as dinner for two and one night at a Dublin City Centre hotel. It's all thanks to Ulster Bank. To be in with a chance of winning, text GAA to 57199 and answer the question returned. What year did Donegal last win the Sam Maguire? Is it A, 2011, B, 2005 or C, 1992? Lines close at midnight. You need to be 18 or over to take part. Terms and conditions apply.
Oh, there's a Mayo man celebrating his engagement in Croke Park. Congratulations to Conor Mortimer. If only he had a Mayo jersey on, David.
I don't understand. Should be at a team cool down today.
Well, he isn't, and we're talking about the match between Kerry and Donegal, and a 2-point lead for Donegal at this stage. And you mentioned it already, Dara, they really came out and blitzed Kerry near the start, didn't they?
They did. They got good scores. They were lucky now. The goal and the point after were quite they were fortuitous. But I thought, it played fast here. Kerry made a lot of mistakes. Kerry were the author. Kerry really can only thank, have themselves to blame for being behind here, because 4 points is too much to concede.
Yeah, and it was a serious blitz, but again, the focus is on Marco McFadden. Like, there is a big height difference there, Darren. The ball is going in high, so it is to Donegal's advantage, but they got a great start, and everyone is chipping in.
Why don't Donegal just keep putting the pressure on at this rather than dropping back as they did towards the end of
Look,
that
man,
half?
offensively they've been very good this year anyway. They're scoring a lot more, including crucial points like Murphy has scored there. Look, they blitzed Kerry in the opening couple of minutes, 1-2 to a point, but Kerry came back at them. Kerry came back and got it back from 1-2 to 4 points. So when they're going offensively, it is working.
We did see, though, David, as well in the Ulster final, the second half, they do tend to push on in the second half and get a lot more scores.
They do, and they're a supremely fit team. But there will be questions to answer to say why when you were 3 or 4 points up, why did you go back to the parking the bus and
well, that was obviously a tactic beforehand.
Yeah.
Obviously they knew if they were going to go ahead 3 or 4 points, they were going to pull up and hold what we have them.
What did you make of the introduction of Darren O'Sullivan in with Killian Young going off?
Well, I think the bigger loss before that, Matt, was Owen Brosnan going off. Kerry had to rejig their back line, but now Brian Sheehan picked up a knock. It's good to see him back out here in the second half. Darren O'Sullivan, basically what it is Brian Sheehan gave most of the first half there on his own out in midfield. Yeah. So Darren O'Sullivan, basically what Kerry are saying there is, look, Killian Young, we don't need Killian Young as a defender. We need someone to attack because they're dropping off.
But it's a trump card played already for Kerry at an early stage of the game. Brian Sheehan will struggle in this game. You might see Seamus Scanlon coming on for. I think, at the opposite end, the tide is turning, it seems to be, for Donegal.
You can hear the roar now for Donegal coming back, and how important is the noise in the crowd? It seems to be very much Donegal based.
And Matt, when you're in the stand here as well, particularly when Donegal win possession back, when they're dropping players and they shift that possession away from Kerry, there's a real roar around the stadium as well. And we can
there must be no one left up in Donegal.
This is going to be a serious 35 minutes of football.
Who are you taking to win now, David?
I have to stick with Kerry. I think they're going to come hard at Donegal, and if they can maintain it.
I'm going to stick with Kerry. It's going to be harder to get scores with the rain here in the second half, but I still stick with Kerry.
Matt, after half-time the last one, I went for Clare, but look, I'm sticking with Donegal.
Let's go back to our commentary team of Liam Hayes and first Mike Finnerty.
Thanks, Matt. Welcome back just in time. Donegal have made a change at the break. Big Neil Gallagher, who we told you was added to the subs bench before the match. He's number 19 there, alongside Rory Kavanagh for this second half. And the man who's been replaced, number 17, Martin McElhenney. And just to tidy up that Kerry substitution during the first half, there were some crossed wires. Darren O'Sullivan into the Kerry half-back line in place of Killian Young. And we will be expecting O'Sullivan to follow the Donegal sweeper as this second half takes shape. Well, the rain has arrived. We're having 4 seasons in one day here at Croke Park this afternoon. Dark clouds followed by some sunshine, and now mist falling on this part of the world, with Donegal leading by 2 points and bidding to book their place in the All-Ireland semi-final against Cork on the 26th of August. But as David Brady said, there are 35 minutes of serious football coming up. Incidentally, a crowd of 56,191 have come through the turnstiles to watch today's doubleheader. That's about 4,000 more than was here last night for the first 2 quarter-finals. Man on the ball for Kerry is Colm Cooper, who is stopped fairly emphatically by a swarm of Donegal defenders, takes the free. This is Anthony Maher, just making an angle for himself, going for glory from long range, and hits the target. That's a fine score from Anthony Maher. Kicked a couple of long-range points against Donegal when these teams met in the league during the spring. That's his first of this All-Ireland quarter-final, and it was certainly worth waiting for.
It's a fine score, and Maher doesn't come up forward and get too many such scores. That's only his 3rd point this championship, but Kerry will be looking to really take a command around the middle of the field, and they'll be looking at Paul Galvin and Declan O'Sullivan to get stuck into the game, we think, in the next 15-20 minutes. Both players a little bit subdued after the first 10 minutes of the first half.
Leo McClune winning that breaking ball for Donegal and trying to switch the point of attack, but Mark O'Shea read it like a book. And now Darren O'Sullivan was trying to link up initially with Anthony Maher. Kerry back where they started from, but they have possession. Tomas O'Shea rolling it into the path of Donegal Walsh. Donegal maintaining that ball, was picked off the ground. Certainly handling and the finer skills of Gaelic football will be very difficult in this second half, as Mark McHugh, the Donegal number 12, drops back to bolster his defence, sets off on his merry way as Gallagher gives it to him. He has amazing reservoirs of energy, Mark McHugh. Hit with a late shoulder there. Marty Duffy plays the advantage as McClune flicks it inside. This is McBrearty. Back to McClune again. Lovely sidestep to go past the defender. And he fires it over the bar. A really well-worked score from Donegal. Started and finished by Leo McClune.
An important score from Donegal because they didn't really want Kerry to come out and score a couple of points and start the second half and bring the teams level. It's important for Donegal to put down a marker straight away. It was really well worked, calmly worked the whole length of the field.
So Leo McClune becomes the third Donegal player to score in this All-Ireland quarter-final, as we watch the replay of Brian Sheehan's hit on Mark McHugh.
It was really a block, Mike. We've seen, we see 20 of those every 10 minutes in Gaelic football nowadays. So whether it was deserving of a yellow card or not, I would have my doubts about it. I think Marty Duff was a little bit harsh on Brian Sheehan there.
That Kerry's second yellow. Donncha Walsh there, the meat in a Donegal sandwich between McClune and Murphy, both of whom have dropped back. 14 Donegal players inside their own half, and you were saying, Liam, during half-time you felt the longer that first half went on, the more Donegal went back to that style of play that they employed here against Dublin last summer.
Well, they went into retreat. I mean, the first quarter they really took the game on and took Kerry on. The second quarter they went into retreat mode, and if Donegal are going to beat Kerry, if they're going to hold on to a 2 or 3 point advantage and really be clinical about beating Kerry, they're going to have to take on the game. They can't just defend for the entire second half.
A tug on the jersey of Darren O'Sullivan just as he was about to move through the gears, and that was right in front of the referee, Rory Kavanagh it was, who was hanging on for dear life. Michael Murphy picked up a yellow card a few moments ago as well, as Marty Duffy goes in for a quick word with Rory Kavanagh. But Kerry, as we would have expected, are trying to vary things a little bit in this second half. Darren O'Sullivan will become a central figure in their game plan, you'd have to think, as Cooper does the needful. Just scoreboard moving, and just the one between them again.
And a handy enough point to get in a game like this, because points are just so hard won. So Cooper just popping the ball over there. But looking at Donegal, they have a long road ahead if they're going to win this All-Ireland. This is just one game and 3 huge games waiting for them. So we wonder what's up the sleeve of Jim McGuinness. What's the trick he has to actually produce a plan B from this Donegal team if they're losing a game, if they're losing this game with 10 minutes to go, or against Cork, or against Dublin, possibly in an All-Ireland final.
Well, this is Donegal's 8th time to appear at the quarter-final stage. They've won 2, drawn 2, lost 3. Very much a mixed bag. Needed extra time to beat Kildare here, of course, last year. If the sides finish level today, it'll be a second day out. Michael Murphy trying to burrow his way through. This time it's Kerry's turn to swallow up the forward, rip the ball from his grasp. Donegal felt it was done illegally. Marty Duffy lets it develop, and perhaps some poetic justice. Donegal have got the ball back. McBrearty, sporting that very fashionable headgear, shoots for the score just wide. Well, it's the first chance he's got in this game to get on the front foot, really, McBrearty. Here's that challenge on Michael Murphy. Very difficult to tell from that angle.
I think the challenge was fine. The problem for Kerry was they turned the ball over immediately after winning the ball off Michael Murphy on that occasion. They immediately turned the ball over to Donegal, and Donegal should have scored a point. McBrearty should have popped that ball over the bar.
So 10 wides in this game, equally shared between the 2 contenders, both of whom have real, genuine ambitions of being here on All-Ireland final Sunday. Ball popped in by Cooper, who was being stalked by Eamon McGee. And McGee just got an outstretched leg to that to knock it away from Donaghy. who was starting to cut something of a frustrated figure in that Kerry full forward line. Thompson. Neat little 1-2 with McBrearty. This is Neil Gallagher. Missed the Ulster final due to an injury. Back in the engine room for this second half. Broken down neatly by Aidan O'Mahony. And now Mark O'Shea to his brother Thomas. Kerry keeping it very tight. And Thomas O'Shea caught in possession. Donegal in like a flash. And they've won a free. And not for the first time. Kerry over-elaborating. And Donegal making them pay.
Yeah, and it's a turnover. We spoke about this just a couple of moments ago. Kerry keep turning the ball over in their own, as they're bringing the ball out of their own half of the field. They're going to hand this game to Donegal because, you know, Tomas O'Shea there, you know, just pulled back on his man. But this is an outstanding opportunity for Michael Murphy to put 2 points between the teams again. But you'd wonder, Mike, in those situations when Kerry get the ball in their hands, why they don't look to get the ball down to the full forward line as fast as possible. The surest way of dismantling the Donegal game plan is by getting that ball down to the full forward line in 2 or 3 seconds.
So Michael Murphy has this chance to give Donegal just a little breathing space. There was never any doubt about that particular kick. 2 between them again. A little over 25 minutes to go.
Huge point for Donegal and a huge point for their captain as well, because we remember Murphy missed almost from a similar position just before half-time. So, you know, he'll be very happy to get that one under his belt and give Donegal their 2-point lead back.
Well, Mickey Hart made an interesting point during the week in his newspaper column. He said Donegal cannot afford to concede goals. Kerry won't win without them. Can Kerry figure out a way to create a chance for the marksmen of like Cooper, Donaghy or the O'Sullivans against this well-marshalled, well-oiled Donegal defensive system? Now Donegal break forward, and that's a fine run by Rory Kavanagh, who was slaloming his way through the Kerry defence. James O'Donoghue and eventually Shane Enright bringing him down.
He just stuck his left foot out. Player down. It's an easy free for Donegal. And again, it's quite like, it's so like the first half, Mike, with Donegal looking so confident, looking so sure in terms of how they're actually taking the game on. And Brian Sheehan now is coming over the sideline, hobbling badly. That was a nasty bang he got on his calf muscle in the first half, and if he's off for good, that's a huge blow to Kerry.
Well, again, a lot of activity on the Kerry bench as we watch Donegal extend their lead. Michael Murphy indulging in a little bit of shooting practice. But just to confirm, Kerry this time have made a double substitution. Johnny Buckley from the Dr. Croke's club is in for the injured Brian Sheehan. And also Kieran O'Leary is in for Declan O'Sullivan. So a double whammy for Kerry.
I'm not so sure what happened to Declan O'Sullivan, whether he was carrying an injury or not. We did say a few moments ago that himself and Paul Galvin were very quiet in the first half, but to take Declan O'Sullivan and Brian Sheehan off simultaneously is certainly making a big ask of this Kerry team to go on and win this game.
And Jack O'Connor now has just 1 substitution left. His team have fallen 3 points behind as Donegal inflict their game onto Kerry, and that goal from this man, Colin McFadden, the most bizarre of goals, is the difference at this stage in the game. Anthony Maher, quick look up. It's very much a new-looking Kerry forward line. Colin Cooper spots the run of Galvin. Where has he been? His shot blocks out for a 45. Well, he has been trying might and main to get into this game, Paul Galvin, but he's been kept on a very tight leash. And Kerry have to be content with a 45, which of course they won't have Brian Sheehan to kick. He's gone off the field with an injury. And if Kerry are going to win this game, Liam, they're going to have to do it the hard way.
Well, someone's going to have to step up. I mean, Paul Galvin got in there, had a half chance with 2 players on him. Probably should have put the ball over. I thought he was a little bit slow in actually taking the shot. But really, you know, looking at it now with Brian Sheehan come off and James O'Donoghue now about to take this free, more and more and more Kerry are going to rely on Donaghy and Cooper inside to win this game.
James O'Donoghue standing in for the injured and absent Brian Sheehan. Drags that wide. And if ever a picture told a story, Kerry now without Owen Brosnan, Killian Young, Brian Sheehan and Declan O'Sullivan will have to call on all their reserves and all their craft and know-how to get out of this very tight corner. This, with 22 minutes to go, is Donegal's game to lose.
Well, how many blows to the chin can a team take? I mean, Kerry have taken a lot in this game already, and the really big blow of all is Brian Sheehan going off, because when James O'Donoghue hit that ball wide, the heart in every single Kerry jersey dropped a little bit. Those are the crucial scores that you need to be putting over the bar to keep the game alive and to keep Kerry close to Donegal.
And almost 9 minutes now since Kerry's last score. Donegal have hit a couple of frees in the meantime, and that has allowed them to open up some daylight as Darren O'Sullivan is shut down by the cornerback Paddy McGrath. Neil McGee also getting involved there. But the Donegal marking at the best of times claustrophobic. That time Neil McGee really got involved when there was no need, and that is a very cheap yellow.
Not smart at all, and I'm sure Jim McGuinness looks at that sort of play and says, why would one of his main men do that? Why would you actually take the chance of possibly even getting a red card, for an action like that?
So away we go again, and Donegal have Kerry right where they want them as the ball is drilled in. Ricochets out the field again, and now Tomas O'Shea. So many times in the past he has led Kerry out of trouble. Man on the ball is Donncha Walsh, who had nowhere to go. He was wrapped up, and some dissent from a Donegal player, and this makes the angle altogether more favourable for Kerry.
He was well wrapped up on that occasion. I'm not so sure why Marty Duffy gave a free for Kerry on that occasion. There was 2 Donegal men around him. They can't have their hands down by the side. They have to make some attempt to actually dispossess the man, and probably a lucky enough free and an easy opportunity for Colin Cooper.
That's 4 points for Cooper. 2 from frees, 2 from play. Narrows the margin ever so slightly. As we head towards the final quarter of this fascinating All-Ireland quarter-final. Still, as it's been all evening, there for the taking. Paul Durkin smacking that out towards Gallagher, who climbs into the air, breaking the skies to win that one. And no nonsense, first time ball in towards McFadden and or Murphy, missed by both of them. Just got their calls mixed up. And now Mark O'Shea takes it clear. Well, Kerry's defeat to Down 2 years ago in the quarter-final, the only black mark on their last 8 copybook. Usually when they come to Croke Park on the August bank holiday weekend, they take care of business, but they have a job of work in front of them right now as Anthony Thompson first times that ball, hacks it clear. And Liam, we've got the perfect vantage point here. 14 Donegal men inside their own 65. They are very, very difficult to break down.
Absolutely, and it looks like a grandstand finish, but I mean, I think any Donegal person watching it here in the stadium or at home are going to hope that Donegal don't spend that 20 minutes in their own half of the field defending. This is a game that they actually took on again at the start of the second half, and they showed they can break down this Kerry team when they take the game on. And they need to do that again in the last 15 minutes if they'll be certain of winning.
But at this stage, those blue Kerry jerseys strewn all around the field like confetti, chasing down the likes of this man, Neil Gallagher. pressing up, Gallagher under pressure. Very unorthodox pass involving Paul Durkin. As he gets it away, breaks kindly for Carl Lacey. Waits patiently for Frank McGlynn to move into position. His run tracked by Anthony Maher. This is Rory Kavanagh. Donegal play possession football, and Kerry give them some room to do it. Lacey turns into traffic, pursued by three Kerry men. McBrearty popped off to McFadden. Quick look up. He needs to make it count. McFadden pulls the trigger and hits the target. A wonderful score from Colm McFadden. He has been prolific today. His eye is in, and Donegal lead by 3 again.
Well, nothing short of superb from Colm McFadden. You know, he had a little bit of time, but there was 3 or 4 Kerry men bearing down on him. But he has really shown from the very first few minutes of this game that he's got his eye into this afternoon. But it was great work also from Carl Lacey coming forward. That's what Donegal need. They need to keep on taking the game to Kerry.
Meanwhile, at the other end, a shot to nothing from Kieran O'Leary. Kieran Donaghy protesting he needs better service. Well, Kerry look rattled. And it's just not working right now.
Well, Donaghy hasn't got any service. I mean, of course, you expect forwards to be able to win their own ball. But, you know, Kieran Donaghy has spent a lot of time on the edge of that square there this afternoon, and there's hardly been one textbook ball delivered in for him to really get his hands on and to really take on the full back.
Well, the rain is spilling down as Donegal protect a 3-point lead. Galvin to O'Donoghue. Donegal Walsh wanted it, but a Donegal hand, the hand of Rory Kavanagh, disrupting the pass, and away goes Mark McHugh. Man in support is Leo McClune, who's hit hard and unfairly by, I think, a combination of Tomas O'Shea and Brian Maguire. McClune is down and staying down. Donegal have a free, and this is well within the range of Murphy again. It was, in fact, Brian Maguire who made the significant contact. McClune is down injured, and there's another card.
It was a little bit unfortunate there, Brian Maguire. You know, he was going in to shoulder charge his man, but he sort of raised his hip or his leg, probably more in self-defense than anything else, but in the process took down Leo McClune and gives, you know, Michael Murphy a really good opportunity of putting 4 points between the teams, and 4 points is going to be more like 14 points. Goes over the bar.
Marty Duffy at this stage in the game has shown 8 yellow cards. We have a quarter of an hour to go. And the considered view before this match was that if Donegal were in this kind of a position with 10-15 minutes to go, they would have the stamina and the conditioning to push on and close it out. We're about to find out. Michael Murphy. This is a huge kick. The umpires consult, and they flag it wide. There couldn't have been much in it. They needed a moment or two just to be sure. Wide ball. And Jack O'Connor is rolling the dice one last time. Number 22, Patrick Curtin from Moyvan, is coming into the full forward line. James O'Donoghue is being taken out. And it's now or never for Kerry.
That's a tough one. I mean, when Brian Sheehan went off, the free-taking duties passed to James O'Donoghue, so, you know, who's going to take them now? Probably Colin Cooper will be asked to step up and take any more frees that Kerry get in the last 10-15 minutes of this game.
Donegal Walsh, who gets through so much of the unfashionable work for Kerry, linking up with O'Leary. Darren O'Sullivan. He's got Paddy McGrath for company. Kerry forced back into their own half briefly. Tomas O'Shea, nothing obvious on inside. Kerry will try and work through the lines. Now Darren O'Sullivan filling in as playmaker with Declan O'Sullivan now on the bench. Kerry have committed 13 players into the Donegal half, but they've lost possession, and now this is where Donegal are dangerous. Rory Kavanagh sprinting clear, and that blizzard of Donegal players are pouring forward. Michael Murphy looking for the support run of Paddy McGrath. Important interception from Patrick Curtin. But Kerry now becoming more and more pinned back, and Jim McGuinness, who turns 40 later on this year, kicking every ball.
Absolutely, but he's happy enough. Donegal are, taking the game to Kerry. They're looking for that additional point, and it's a point they'll need.
Here's McClune, fancies his chances, hits it with he has, but it didn't have the legs, and Brendan Keeley is there for Kerry. Paul Galvin, very deep. Aidan O'Mahony, and now Mark O'Shea. Colm Cooper would seem to be hobbling, but Kerry have used up all of their substitutes as Tomás O'Shea comes forward. Cooper is most certainly in trouble. Can't make himself available for the pass, and things just going from bad to worse, Liam, for Kerry.
They are. I mean, Kerry are on the rack, but a high ball into Kieran Donaghy again. It's just over his head. The classic pass into Kieran Donaghy, and it just defies everything when you look at Kerry today. To actually pop a ball up in the air from 50, 60 yards out into your full forward is one of the easiest things to do in Gaelic football. But it's defied Kerry all afternoon. And now we've got Colm Cooper limping badly on a leg. And if Colm Cooper goes off, you just feel the door is going to shut in Kerry's face.
And Jim McGuinness feels the time is right to introduce some fresh legs to try and finish this, to turn the screw. David Walsh is in. Ryan Bradley, who has run himself into the ground, is being replaced. And Christy Toy, the 28-year-old from St. Michael's, he's in to add his considerable bulk and experience to midfield. And Marty Duffy, in fact, is telling Christy Toy to leave the field again. I think Donegal hadn't made it clear who they wanted to take out of the match. But with 10.5 minutes to go, Donegal lead by a goal, that Colm McFadden goal. Will it turn out to be worth its weight in gold, or can Kerry go to the well one more time? Donegal Walsh, there are two men roaring for it on the far side. One of them is Galvin, the other O'Shea. O'Shea's superiority triumphs. He called for that and Galvin leaves it, but there just simply are too many Donegal men back there mounting the barricades, and there is no way through for Kerry, and they've been repelled yet again.
Strange enough, Paul Galvin stopped running on that occasion and didn't give Tomás O'Shea the support he needed. Obviously Tomás O'Shea took on two men and lost. You look around the middle of the field, you look at this Kerry team, you look at Brosnan gone off the field, Declan O'Sullivan gone off, Brian Sheehan gone off, and you wonder, do Kerry have the calmness, the composed heads to actually realise that they can still win this game?
Carl Lacey pops it back to Patrick McBrearty, spins inside. McBrearty lets fly, dangerous ball, up goes Keeley, and it's gone over the bar. McFadden was in there making a nuisance of himself, distracting Keeley. McBrearty will claim the point. It's his first of the match. Donegal lead by 4, and now Christy Toy can make his entrance as Leo McClune comes out. There are 9 minutes of normal time left. Donegal lead by 4. Is there any way back for Kerry?
Well, it's definitely in Donegal's hands. McBrearty should have put that ball over the bar, but McFadden once again was there just to make certain, and did really well on Keeley and not getting in the goalkeeper's face or giving away a free.
Here they come again. It's Toy knifing through and firing it over. Donegal have found their groove, and they are kicking for home. They've opened up a 5-point lead, and it's Christy Toy, who has soldiered for so many years in the Donegal colours, who pops up and does the needful. And Kerry are on the ropes.
And just after coming on the field, Christy Toy, he's such an experienced player. As soon as he got that half a chance and was moving forward, saw the ball, the goal in his sights, more than prepared just to pop it over the bar. But a huge score for Donegal at this stage of the game.
Kerry have been outscored 5 points to 1 in the last 20 minutes. Kieran O'Leary, he needs to nail it, and he hasn't. Well, Donegal are now masters of all they survey in Ulster. They've won 9 of their last 10 championship matches. This game today, described by Mark McHugh as the biggest game of their lives. And so far, they've done very little wrong.
Well, it is. I mean, Donegal have had a, almost a, picture perfect performance as far as Jim McGuinness is concerned. But, there's still about 10 minutes left in this game, and if Kerry can keep their heads, and we spoke about this a few moments ago, they need to be calm, need to be controlled, they need to win the ball in the middle of the field. They still have Cooper and Donaghy inside, and you know what, it's going to take a touch of genius if Kerry are going to pull this game out of the fire. But we do know for certain that, genius lives and breathes in the Kerry team. So they just got to win the ball, and they've got to get the right ball inside to that full forward line.
Well, Carl Lacey, the all-star, has been caught doing something he shouldn't have been doing. And that is Donegal's 5th yellow of this quarter-final. And the longer this game goes on, the more you wonder, where are those Kerry scores going to come from if they're to plot a way back into this match? It's all Donegal. Lacey caught late by Kieran O'Leary. McBrearty chasing after it. Paddy McGrath showing a cool head. McBrearty again. Lovely, neat and tidy football from Donegal. This is David Walsh trying to jink and jive his way through, and he's been fouled. And Kerry are furious. Donegal have a free, and they are disappearing over the horizon.
I can understand why Kerry were unhappy with that. David Walsh, he was moving around, he was getting into position. Didn't seem very much involved from the defensive point of view. But McFadden puts this over the bar. The door almost certainly is shut in Kerry's face.
So it's Colin McFadden with a goal and 5 points for the man who plays his club football with St. Michael's in Creaslough, and has done more than most to guide Donegal into this position. They're within 5 minutes of an All-Ireland semi-final date with Cork in 3 weeks' time, and a famous victory over Kerry. This game, of course, the first time these teams have met in the senior championship, and they have served up an intriguing, fascinating tactical battle. Shane Enright. Kerry need a goal. In towards Curtin. Murphy's back there. Ball popped into Donegal Walsh. Up goes Donaghy! And it's in the net. And it's a goal for Donaghy. His 2nd goal of the championship. And he might just have thrown Kerry a lifeline.
Yes, indeed, and just got his big right hand up perfectly to the ball. And we were just saying a couple of minutes ago, if Kerry keep their heads, if they do the simple thing, and they just get the right ball to Kieran Donaghy, that they can still get back into this game, and Donaghy took that beautifully.
It's his 9th championship goal, and there's just a kick of the ball between them. You couldn't make this up. 4 minutes of normal time left. And that goal from Donaghy has sent energy and enthusiasm right through this Kerry team. And the stadium is rocking again.
Fantastic atmosphere right through the stadium. Kerry really pressing now. You can really see that Kerry have their chins up now, but they need to keep calm and they need to pick off a couple of points.
Dropped in by Cooper towards Donaghy. Just wouldn't stick. Down goes Donegal Walsh, and he's won his free. Well, it's all hands to the pump for Kerry now. Remember, Brian Sheehan has gone off, and they're asking Colm Cooper to do almost the impossible here from way out on the left wing.
Well, if Colm Cooper is your 3rd or 4th choice free taker, things aren't so bad in your camp, are they?
So often the saviour. What can he do here? Well, off his weaker right, he hasn't managed to draw it in, but Kerry hold possession, recycle back to Galvin. Galvin with that trademark snapshot, and it's gone over the bar. And we're going to get the grandstand finish. Donegal's lead, which at one stage stood at 6 points, has been pared back to 2. And this is going right to the wire.
And just 2 minutes ago, I was saying that the door looked to be slammed in Kerry's face. If anybody can break through that door, it's this Kerry team, and they've done so by doing the basics very, very well. Taking the score simply. That was just a very neat, tidy point from Galvin, and Kerry have the ball again.
They're coming forward in waves now. O'Leary in towards Curtin. Racing out towards the line is Eamon McGee, who can't knock it to Mark McHugh, and Kerry have possession. Well, Liam, you asked the question a long time ago at the start of this game. Did Donegal really, truly believe they could win this match? We're going to find out very shortly.
And I think they showed midway through the second half that they did believe they could win it. But, you know, Kerry now have rocked them back onto their heels. And we're going to really see what Donegal's big game temperament, more than anything else, is like in the last 4 or 5 minutes.
Kerry work it into a scoring opportunity for Anthony Maher. And he's done it again. There's 1 point between the teams with a minute to go. And Kerry are finishing with a flourish. They've hit a goal and 2 points without reply. Maher completely unmarked. He had a lot of work to do, but he nailed it.
Well, Maher has had a great year for Kerry this year, but he is one of the team's unsung heroes. But as we've been saying a few moments ago, just kept a calm head and really took his score perfectly.
So 1 point between the teams. Galvin to Donegal Walsh. We'll have 2 minutes of additional time as Kieran O'Leary drives it in, Gary Owen style, on top of Donaghy, falls to Cooper. Kerry need just one chance to tie this game up. The sides have only been level once since this game started. That was way back in the 6th minute. Since then, Donegal have set the pace, and they have just broken up this Kerry attack. Anywhere will do now for Donegal as we tick into the first minute of additional time. Christy Toy being hunted down, and he's won his free, and Liam Hayes now as good a time as any for you to tell us your selection for man of the match, please.
Well, I think whatever transpires in the last minute or two of this game, you know, it's been a game that Donegal have been the more forceful team. All the big players in Donegal, you know, really stood up and were counted today, but nobody has done more to put Donegal in a position to win this game than Colin McFadden.
So Colin McFadden, the Donegal number 15, is Liam Hayes' selection for man of the match, but this game is not over yet. Will we have another twist in the tail? Man on the ball is Curtin. He's gone for it, and it's gone wide. Well, he backed himself. It was a brave call.
He backed himself, Mike, but he backed himself at a very tight angle. And again, if he kept his head, maybe got the ball back out to the middle to players who are coming up in support, Kerry could have got a simpler chance of putting the ball over the bar.
So in comes Daniel McLaughlin, and Patrick McBrearty, who turns 19 tomorrow, makes way. He has had the most eventful of afternoons, and he's sporting the scars to prove it. Will we have a winner, or will these two gladiators have to do it all over again? This is Lacey driving through. This for the insurance score, and Lacey delivers yet again for Donegal. They refused to be denied, and it was Lacey who found the energy to drive downfield and hammer over what must be surely the final nail.
He did it perfectly. He had Colin McFadden inside, but he actually backed himself, got into position, and got the score that should win this game for Donegal. But we spoke about big game temperament a few minutes ago, Mike. Donegal have shown that they have that composure, and they need to see out the final minute.
Donegal supporters whistling furiously. Jim McGuinness's team are on the brink of a famous win, another famous win. What a difference 2 seasons make. Kerry fighting for their lives, fighting to stay in the championship. Aidan O'Mahony drops it in around the house. Up goes Donaghy. He's surrounded. And it's all over. The old order of Gaelic football is changing. And Donegal have just blown this All-Ireland series wide open. The Ulster champions have won the first ever championship meeting of these two teams and qualify for the second successive All-Ireland semi-final against Cork in 3 weeks' time. The best laid plans of Kerry and Jack O'Connor have come up just short, and they lose just their second quarter final in 12 seasons. Today is Donegal's day. It's finished. Donegal 112. Kerry 110.
What a fantastic game we have just enjoyed here. Although I don't think, Darragh O'Shea, you enjoyed it. After that fantastic comeback near the end, what do you make? Do you think the better team won?
Over the 70 minutes match, yeah, the better team won. Kerry just tactically we got it wrong. You know, we played up the channels, we played too narrow, we didn't move the ball fast enough, we took it into contact too often. And to be fair, you'd have to give Donegal credit. They finished out the game very strong.
David, for Donegal, it's a tactics, fitness, what is it?
It's a bit everything, and it's a Jimmy McGuinness factor. You know, fair dues to Donegal, fantastic display. It shouldn't have been a goal that Kerry Donaghy scored, but you know what? It's great for football. That was a fantastic game of football. You won't get better than that.
You cannot believe the atmosphere here. If you're sitting at home, it is unbelievable. The noise, from a Donegal point of view, an absolutely phenomenal game. But Kerry made a game of it. You know, it was game over. They were 1-11 to 8 points down, yeah. 6 points, and they got it back to a score. You know, that's some gone from the aristocrats. They were dead and buried, but they still managed to turn the game around.
As Darragh said there, Donegal kept it too narrow. They were going lateral. They weren't kicking direct ball in. It gave Donegal a chance. They played into Donegal's hand.
One of the big talking points in the second half, unless he was injured.
Yeah.
Declan Sullivan going off.
Donegal now, just how good. After the last game we were talking about Cork as favourites for the All-Ireland. After seeing what Donegal have just done to Kerry,
I still think Cork would be too strong for them. You know, I think that, you know, Cork might have too much, you know.
Okay, we have lots more to talk about after an enthralling afternoon's football here in Croke Park. We'll be back after this.
A financial plan for every fan. Ulster Bank, proud sponsors of the GAA Football Championship.
Broadband, just upgraded. Fantastic. Have you? I'll get my IT department. Broadband.
What speed?
8 meg.
Uncongested?
No.
How many kids?
2.
Exams this year?
Yes.
But no study hub?
Pass.
Do you like music?
Music.
Free music?
Free.
So you're not with Aircom? Okay, we're done.
Only Aircom can give you all this for just €40 a month.
How'd you get on? Grand. Just grand.
To switch, call 1-800-503-303.
Need to feel like yourself again? Reach for Alka-Seltzer. It never misses. Unlike some people, Alka-Seltzer brings you back.
I think it's going to be very beneficial. This is different from anything that's come from Sensodyne before. This new toothpaste, Sensodyne Repair and Protect, can actually repair the sensitive part of a tooth. The tiny little tubes in the dentine of the tooth are responsible for the sensitivity. Using an advanced Novamin technology, Sensodyne Repair and Protect will seek out and repair these areas using the same building blocks the tooth structure is made from. I'd recommend Sensodyne Repair and Protect to my patients. It's not just short-term relief, it's long-term protection.
I'll just get your details. I take it, John, you're male.
Yeah.
Okay. And have you any penalty points?
2.
Oh, my sweet divine. And what's the engine size?
The 2 litre.
Oh, yes!
Fully comp?
No nonsense, Dada-E! Low-cost car insurance. Get the cover you really need for less.
If financial difficulties are keeping you awake at night, Bank of Ireland can help. Take the first step and share the problem with us, because we're committed to providing customers in difficulty with real, workable options. Call into your local branch and let's take the time to talk it out and work it out. Bank of Ireland, for small steps, for big steps, for life.
Meet Olivia. She's got the perfect man and the perfect job. But the one thing she couldn't count on was a new crush that was about to change everything. Crush'ems. Critics give Crush'ems Milky Bar 5 stars, packed with delicious real bits of Milky Bar. Crush'ems. It's this year's big crush.
Bring me sunshine in your smile. Bring me laughter all the while. In this world where we live, there should be more happiness. So much joy you can give to each brand new bright tomorrow. Make me happy through the years. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love.
When you need to make the smart move, physically and mentally, make the move to Baraka every day. With a powerful charge of vitamins and minerals, Baraka helps you perform at your best. Baraka,
the high-performance vitamin.
I want to go further. I want to be ready for the real world with up-to-date skills and relevant know-how. I want a state-of-the-art campus in the heart of the city. I want support. I want flexibility. I want internationally recognised courses. I want lecturers who are easy to talk to and who listen to what I have to say. I want to realise my potential. I want to succeed.
Caring takes strength, and sometimes it takes Panadol. Panadol Extra is specially formulated to fight tough pain fast. It can give 30% more pain-relieving power, and it can get to work in as little as 10 minutes. Caring takes strength. Panadol Extra.
Only Aircom can give you uncongested broadband, free music, online grinds and landline calls for just €40 a month. Call 1800 503 303.
SuperValue, proud sponsors, real supporters of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
Ulster Bank, an official sponsor of the GAA Football Championship, are giving you the chance to win a pair of tickets to the All-Ireland Football Final, as well as dinner for 2 and 1 night at a Dublin city centre hotel. It's all thanks to Ulster Bank. To be in with a chance of winning, text GAA to 57199 and answer the question returned. What year did Donegal last win the Sam Maguire? Is it A, 2011, B, 2005 or C, 1992? Lines close at midnight. You need to be 18 or over to take part. Terms and conditions apply.
Well, Donegal are in the semi-final of this year's Sam Maguire. Are they good enough to win it? Their fans, as Senan mentioned, really celebrated wildly afterwards. They are absolutely delighted with the performance that they've seen in beating Kerry the first time these teams have ever met in this day in the All-Ireland Championship. And what a big scalp to take. And there, of course, the Donegal team straight away afterwards went for a warm-down. Senan?
Match to do warm down, no bother when you're after beating someone like Kerry in an All-Ireland quarter-final, I tell you that. But look, this is all new to Donegal, and they're loving the journey, and they're playing like they're loving the journey, and that's what they did in the last 10. And what a way to win it.
Is there a danger, though, they could lose a run of themselves now? They've beaten Kerry, beaten the biggest beast of all, but they're still only into a semi-final against Cork. The fans celebrated like they won the All-Ireland.
Jim McGuinness, you could see them. Jim McGuinness was in charge of his troops there straight away. He wanted to get him in. Look, it's the fans. You can't control the fans, but the players won't run away with themselves. Look, it's good for football, obviously, but not good for Kerry football. But it's good for football in general. You know, Donegal are a new team. They have new players there. They kicked some great scores in the second half. There, you know, they made Kerry chase it.
Okay, I believe we actually do have Jim McGuinness now. He's talking to Kieran McSweeney.
Jim, huge congratulations, but there must be an extreme feeling of relief as well, because you came very close to throwing that away toward the end.
We did. We nearly threw it away, you know, with a 6-point lead there, and, you know, we were in relative control of the game at that period. And then goal goes in. Goal's a big game in championship football, obviously. And we nearly paid the ultimate price there. Kerry came back at us very strong, you know, but thankfully we got one ball in the middle of the park there when it really mattered, and Carroll came onto it and kicked a very good score to put it 2 up, you know.
I suppose your own goal in the first half was a really a major score, whether it was Colin McFadden or if Michael Murphy got a touch, but it was a huge score at that stage because scores were hard to come by.
Without a doubt, you know, and I suppose we knew that coming into the game, that a goal would be a huge score in a game like that, but I suppose from our own point of view we're just happy to get over the line, really. You know, it's an opportunity now to go back to where we were this time last year. Great scenes outside. Obviously nothing won today, and it's great for the supporters, I suppose. You know, first time to play Kerry in the Championship and to get a victory is fantastic, but from the point of view of where we're at the first round of the All-Ireland series. We're in the semi-final, and obviously up against a top-class team the next day again, so we'll not be getting too carried away about it, but we're very happy to get over the line. We're very happy to be in the next round of the Championship, and hopefully now we can bring the thing forward in the coming weeks again.
Well, congratulations, AJ.
Thanks, Kerry.
Of course, they had a 6-point lead, and as you already mentioned, David, Kieran Donaghy's goal would have been highly controversial if there had been a draw in this game today.
I tell you now, there would have been serious trouble for Marty Duffy, because, you know, the rule is you cannot be in the square until when the final pass is played. The final delivery of the ball is there now, and Kieran Donaghy is 1 foot in the square.
I don't think so. I think if you look at that, Kieran Donaghy was on the verge of the square now. If you're going to look,
which side of the verge of the square are you talking about, Zara?
Is the Kerry eyes on him now?
You're either in the square or you're not in the square. He was in the square.
He's a big man. He was part of half and was outside the square.
David, I think you spent a lot of time reading the rule book last night, did you?
I did. But you know, there would have been severe consequences if it came back and it was a draw and Donegal lost the last two, because it wasn't realistic. It wasn't a goal.
But the fact that Donegal held on, now what does that say about their strength to resolve?
Look, they're massive resolve. They're a very resilient side, and I mean, they're coming from, you know, a base 2 years ago where they weren't winning too much to now coming to an All-Ireland semi-final again.
Well, I'm told now that the Kerry manager Jack O'Connor is talking to Kieran McSweeney.
Jack, huge commiserations. It looked like he might get it back there toward the death.
Yeah, I suppose we finished strong, and at least the lads didn't throw in the towel, but it was all a bit frantic, you know, in the last 5 or 10 minutes there. We needed possibly to get the goal earlier to just give us a bit of confidence and pick away at the points. And you know, I think the free in there down in the corner in the end was a crucial score, because it looked like we had to get another goal in to get back. So you know, at the end of the day, it was a sideline kick in the first half that gave them the confidence to build a lead going into half-time, and that at the end of the day was the difference.
Yeah, that goal in the first half was massive. Scores were so hard to come by. You'd be disappointed, I suppose, maybe with the way you defended that.
Well, yeah, sure. Look, you never like conceding a goal from a sideline, and but there was a skiddy ball, and it was a dangerous one that hopped and took off when it hit the ground. So we won't be pointing the fingers, but at the end of the day, that was a critical score.
Obviously, as you said yourself, you really fought back hard at the end. The lads never threw in the towel, never gave up, and did everything they could to try and get it back.
Yeah, they did, and you know, we can't question their heart, their spirit, their commitment. And you know, this team have given great service down through the years, and they weren't going to throw in the towel easily there, but just Donegal, you know, were a hungry team today, and they were hard to stop. But you know, I thought there wasn't much in it in the end. A break here or there, you know, went against us, and just want to wish Donegal well now. You know, they're up against a good Cork side in the semi-final, and it'll be interesting how that goes. But they're certainly going the right way about it.
And look, from your own point of view, people will now start speculating about your own future with the Kerry football team. It's too early for those sort of things.
Look, it's 5 minutes at the end of a titanic battle there, so we won't be making any decision on that, but we'll do that in due course.
We're going to hear from the man of the match and have more analysis of a cracking day here in Croke Park after this.
The Aircom Championship Challenge. Why not challenge yourself at experience-more.ie?
Searching for a really fun place to get away from it all. Well, good news. You're already there. DiscoverIreland.ie. The fun starts here.
To deliver a great deal, the double deal from Domino's. Get 2 medium pizzas for only $19.99. Yes, that's 2 for only $19.99. Domino's.
Kiss me once, kiss me twice, kiss me once again. It's been a long time.
What do you think?
You've been busy.
Haven't felt like this, my dear, since can't remember when. It's been a long
Change starts with Dulux.
Make a change this August with 20% off Dulux Interior Ready Mixed Colour Emulsions.
Take a family home. What if you could make it just a bit better? What if you could watch original drama and award-winning US shows? Another great TV you can't get anywhere else. Imagine controlling how you watch them so you can see what you want, when you want. What if you could watch that great TV wherever you like? On your laptop, or even on your iPhone. And if having all this meant you were ready for the digital switchover, giving you one less thing to think about, and if all that cost €25 a month, wouldn't that be brilliant? So, treat your home to TV you can't get anywhere else, that you can control with Sky Plus and watch wherever you like with Sky Go. Plus, be ready for the digital switchover, all for €25 a month. Sky. Believe in better.
To be there and see the lads play like that. It was champagne hurling, Brazilian hurling. It was incredible.
We were there every step of the way to the 4 in a row.
It was unbelievable.
And we were there when we stopped the drive for 5.
Fling fooled us all, and Semple Stadium exploded in blue. And we believed in magic that day.
And I'll be there
this year to do it
all over again.
The GAA Hurling Championship. Nothing beats being there.
Aon and Insure.ie are united to bring you car insurance that's in a league of its own. So whatever you do, don't buy car insurance until you contact aoninsure.ie.
it's gotta be
aoninsure.ie.
How was your stay?
Most rewarding.
That calls for a Carlsberg.
A financial plan for every fan. Ulster Bank, proud sponsors of the GAA Football Championship.
Well, the rain is coming down heavily now in Croke Park, but we have the useful Brodleys with us today anyway. We're going to talk a little bit more about the man of the match, Colin McFadden, and the influence that he had, Shannon.
Yeah, I think from the moment the ball was thrown, he got the first score. This is the first score of the game. From Vala 40 yards, and he kept that all the way through, kept up to the pace of the game. And this guy's a target man. He plays up front on his own. He was being man-marked by 2 men, but his scores today were just phenomenal. And he's a guy that, you know, this year has stepped it up again under Jimmy McGuinness. I thought he was nearly retired a couple of years ago, and the guy's man of the match.
Top class. In the match-up, in all fairness, McGuinness got it right, because I think there was a big difference in physicality there between himself and Mark O'Shea.
Yeah, he took his scores, to be fair, like all his scores. You know, this is way out to field, but his shot selection was good as well. I mean, look, his snapshots, he's only 2 seconds to make a decision there whether to go or not. And he's kicking like he only got really kind of they're like soccer, you know. You only get one chance to go here, and he took them all.
He's a pure finisher. He's not a finisher. Yeah.
But he's also, the workload he has to endure is enormous, isn't it?
Because, you know, it can be a lowly place up there at times if no ball is coming in, but you'd have to stay there in the full forward line. But you know what? It's
very patient. Yeah.
They're all patient. Though. Yeah. Donegal took better options today than an experienced Kerry team with a lot of Ireland medals in the bag. I thought they took the wrong options.
Okay, well, let's hear now from the man of the match, Colin McFadden. He's with Kieran McSweeney.
And here to present the Man of the Match award to Donegal's Colin McFadden is Justin Healy from Ulster Bank. Colin, huge congratulations, but I was saying to Jim McGuinness while ago, there must be a huge sense of relief as well, because Kerry came so close to pegging it back toward the end.
Tell you, the last, I think it was 5 minutes left, and we were 6 up. You think we were safe then, but Kerry showed what good a team there. There were only 5 minutes left, and within 5 minutes they nearly called back 6 points, like, and just delighted at the end that I think it was Rory Kavanagh picked up the break and fed it to Kerry Lacey and put us that's probably sealed it, because that second point cushion again, like.
Huge scenes of celebration there at the end of it, but as Jim was saying as well, this is only a quarter-final. You're only back to the same stage you were at last year.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good one, obviously beating Kerry, but we're only back where we were last year, you know. So there's a lot of work has to go on now in the next 3 weeks to prepare for that semi-final with Cork.
And as you say, the tests don't get any easier. Cork up the next day.
Aye, definitely. Test again. Probably Cork's definitely the form team in the All-Ireland this year. The date, like, so it's going to be a big test for us now. Something to look forward to, like, and it's going to be a good challenge.
Well, huge congratulations today and the best luck with it.
Cheers, thanks very much. Thank you.
So Donegal, the 4th provincial winner to go to the semi-finals. Who do the lads here now fancy to win the All-Ireland? We'll discuss that in just a moment.
SuperValu, proud sponsors, real supporters of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
What's your story? Computers? Nah. I won the lotto.
That's right, Buddy, do you have a dream?
Nothing that money can buy, Roundy. Nothing that money can buy.
Thanks for helping us make magic happen.
The same hoarse voices, the same clenched fists, the same words uttered that some sitters missed, the same soaring highs, the same crashing lows, the same oh yeses, the same oh nos, the same old characters, the same place in the stands, the same mad passions. We're the same, we're fans. Championship, every Monday in the Irish Examiner.
It's the big sale at Carpetrite, and this bank holiday weekend, every floor reduced, with up to 50% off every carpet, every vinyl, every laminate, and every rug, with extra discounts on top of hundreds of sale prices. But hurry, offer ends Monday 6 p.m. Whatever floor you are looking for, the first step is Carpetrite.
The superb new Oxendales collection is out now. This season's styles and colours in sizes 12 to 34. Versatile looks that suit you, your fit and your lifestyle. Looks you won't find anywhere else. Try something new and get 20% off your first order. It's your life, your look. Oxendales, just for you. Call now for your category 1-800 81 88 93 or go to oxendales.ie.
CityJet flies direct from Dublin to London City, where you not only fly to and from the airport, on your return journey you fly through the airport with a speedy 15-minute check-in, or fly on to destinations all over Europe, while enjoying our friendly personal service. Book by the 9th of August at cityjet.com to get our special promotional fare for €129 return, including all taxes.
Aircom Championship Challenge. Why not challenge yourself at experiencemore.ie?
And a 2-point victory for Donegal over Kerry in the quarter-final. And it was that early goal, Colin McFadden, direct from a line ball, which gave Donegal a lead which they never surrendered. Despite some fine scores by Kerry on occasions, it was Donegal who continued to have the whip hand throughout. and particularly Colin McFadden's man of the match performance as he took his scores. A controversial goal by Kieran Donaghy, which all but Kerry men thought was actually a square ball, but it didn't. Carl Lacey went up the other end at the end to ensure a 2-point victory for Donegal. And that means 112 to 110 is the final score in favour of Donegal. Now, just go back to Darragh, the influence of that early goal. Just how significant when Donegal went in front and had a lead to defend?
Well, purely from a numbers point of view, Matt, it was 2 points. You know, it was 3 points, obviously, and they won by 2. But just purely from psychological, immediately after getting that goal, Donegal shut up shop. Like, they really kind of closed up, and it was noticeable in the last 15 minutes of that first half. They actually kind of got everyone behind the ball because they were quite offensive in the first 20 minutes, and they changed things around. But it had a huge bearing on the game now. It really had, because Kerry were chasing it. Now, there was a spell in the middle half there as well where Donegal kicked on. They were 6 points up. But
what would they be like, David, if they actually had to chase a game? That if somebody else got that lead on them, would they have what it takes against, say, Cork in the semi-final, Dublin or Mayo in the final? Yeah,
it would offer a bigger question, because what you've seen in a lot of the games this year, and even in the National League, the games that they won, is they went ahead. You know, and in games that Donegal have went behind, they've had to open up. One, like McClune and young McHugh were coming back today, sitting back in front of the full back line, half back line. You can't bring numbers back that much if you're looking for scores. You have to have
Murphy was actually picking up Kieran Donaghy for the last 3 as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
actually, Brian Sheehan going off was a huge for Kerry, because they got a few frees that could have.
Yeah, but you can't. Like what Donegal do is they suck the life out of you, Matt, and that's what we're seeing in these clips here. They get bodies back in there, they put in big hits, but they're very good offensively. And we mentioned before the game, they've tweaked the system that they had last year, this defensive system. But you know, you've mentioned the fact, will you have to chase a game? I can't see them having to chase.
Even against Cork, would it be Cork or probably a stronger, more physical side than Kerry? Will that stand to them playing against Donegal?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, it's very early stages, you know, to talk about that, but I still think on the form that Cork had today, physically Cork would be bigger than Kerry, and Donegal might struggle with that. You know, Neil Gallagher came on and had a big influence in the game, but Donegal, the thing about Donegal is they can score from anywhere.
Yeah. I don't think they'll struggle at all when it comes to the physical stakes, because they're so well tuned. You know, the development they've done in terms of the gym work that they've done, they're taking big hits, and they have big hits going in themselves. And
yeah,
I think
but what about the Cork team that we saw today? Don't Cork have the players, and don't they have scoring forwards as well from out the field?
Yeah, and what Cork do, they deliver a lot more direct ball every single time. The direct, I just can't believe how naive Kerry were today to play it across and over. The build-up was so slow.
And isn't that what cost them against Dublin in the All-Ireland final last year? Why didn't they learn from that?
I don't know. Look, we said in the first half, we looked at a couple of scores, Declan O'Sullivan's point and Colm Cooper's point in the first half. They were 30 yards out. Just quick turn around, pop it over the bar. Kerry had the ability to do that. Kerry didn't actually do that in the second half. We relied on kind of frees, I suppose, and then towards the end, Anthony Maher got 2 points in the second half there. But like their scores, Kerry had the personnel to do this, but they didn't feed the ball in fast enough. They took it into the tackle too often.
They were trying to pick the lock, little 20-yard hand passes, and we were screaming there. It was made for a route one, maybe.
Particularly with a greasy ball.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying it because you're here, Darragh, but we were talking about it. The ball that was going into Donaghy as well, and the ball that was coming in from midfield, was not the type of ball that you said is needed to go into a Kerry full forward line. When you play, Darragh, you give perfect ball in. It was more direct. And I'm
glad you brought that up.
No, it haven't won on Ireland since you left.
I better go back. No, but it's actually, no, it's just a small bit of directness. The ball, you're right, wasn't going in fast enough.